Hey YouTube, what's going on? I'm Patrick Giguere and welcome to this video. So I entitled this video Jedi Training, and I am a Star Wars fan, but I'm not that hardcore. So if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan and this is going to trigger you because I'm not in a handstand with Yoda on my foot and balancing stones with telekinesis, if that's going to trigger you from not seeing that, then this is a good opportunity to learn some coping skills. So, but anyway, I called this Jedi Training because just for fun, and it's a step above the energy ball, and I made a video for the energy ball exercise. And this is instability training. It adds a whole new dimension of instability to just that regular energy ball exercise where you get your feet on the ground. And what this exercise is all about, the goal of it, and the goal with meditation, Qigong, natural medicine, the goal is everything. If you just apply one technique to everything, it's not all that effective because you've got to fit the tool to the job. So this instability training, the point of it, what it does is it gives you more stability in your body and it gives you more stability in your psyche. So there's a huge physical component to this, but really more importantly, it's a mental training exercise because I absolutely believe in mind over matter, and science every day is confirming the whole idea of mind over matter. Mind leads the body, mind generates the body, mind controls the body. So that's what this is all about. So this exercise is not only, it's going to build some energy. You're going to build especially your magnetic energy, your yin energy, which gives you stability and basically gives your body and your mind cohesiveness. And so it's going to build that yin magnetic energy. It's going to work your physical stabilizer muscles. It's going to work on your equilibrium, work with your inner ear. And then also what it's going to do is it's going to teach you how to concentrate and how to bring your mental body within the confines of basically your aura. There are different layers to the aura, but into the energy of the physical body and like the emotional body. So it's going to make you put these different bodies together. So this physical body, this emotional or astral body, and then this mental body. It's going to make them work in conjunction because the mental body is very airy. It expands very far out. It has a lot to do with intuitive abilities, being able to tune into something that's non-local, non-local phenomenon. So when you're standing on a Swiss ball or on a Bosu ball, we're going to get into the different variants of this, but when you're standing on a Swiss exercise ball, which is highly unstable, you don't want that mental body venturing out and remote viewing a nuclear power plant in North Korea, or thinking about what your husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend's doing, or whatever the hell, or what your boss needs you to do at work tomorrow. Because again, the mental body is not limited by time. The mental body is not limited by space. Astral body, the emotional body, is not limited by time, and that's why we get stuck in emotions. We get things like PTSD and chronic anger, frustration, anxiety, grief, is because emotionally we're not limited by time. Time doesn't exist in that dimension. And then with this mental body, we're not limited by space. So basically this is going to get your physical body, your emotions, and your like intellectual mental faculty all on one page. If you don't get them on one page, you lose your balance, you fall off the ball. So with that said, you want to take some safety precautions here. So you always want to do this exercise either in a power rack inside of a square power rack at the gym that the squat bars sit in. or you want to do this in front of a pull-up bar. That's what I do. That's what you're going to see. I'm going to be in a hallway, in front of a doorway, in front of a pull-up bar. Now this precaution is if you lose your balance, you've got something sturdy to grab onto. It's going to hold your weight, and you're not going to bust your ass. You're not going to get hurt. So train in one of those environments, inside the power rack or in front of the pull-up bar. You know, being in a hallway is good too because you've got those walls to brace yourself. I don't recommend training in a hallway with no pull-up bar, because if you don't put the excuse me, if you don't put the right pressure on those walls fast enough, you could have a really bad day. You could break something. So, and you can get a pull-up bar very cheaply. You can get them for like $20, $25 new, and you can get them used for even less. You know, maybe free. Just make sure it's functional. A word of caution with doorway, you know, pull-up bars. Some of them screw into place and they're extremely stable. Some of them use the vectors, I guess, of the you know, mass moving downward to keep it in the doorway. There's nothing that screws in. Now the caution with those that don't screw in, if you pull straight back on those, that damn, shouldn't eat macadamias before I do this. So if you pull straight back, that can pull the whole pull-up bar straight off the wall, and that's not good. So if you use one of those, just get it in your mind, get it in your muscle memory to always pull down if you lose your balance and you need that assistance. So yeah, that's pretty much it about that. Be safe with this. And, you know, and on that note with being safe, you know, don't let your ego carry you away with this. So, and by that I mean don't beat yourself up. So if you can't jump right into standing on the round Swiss ball, then don't do it. Get a Bosu ball. A Bosu ball, you know, it's like it's a half of a ball. It's like a dome. It's like the flat deck that sits on the floor. It's got half of the round ball. You stand on that. For a lot of people, that's plenty of instability. And that, you know, and work on that for a while if your balance isn't great. When you get really good at that, you can flip that Bosu over, put the dome on the floor, and stand on a flat deck, and that's going to rock and roll a lot more in every direction. Yeah, and when you get better at that, when you're ready to graduate to the ball, what you can do in the beginning is let some air out of the ball. So, you know, so the ball's really squishy. When it's squishy, you're closer to the ground and you get a lot more room for error. And as you get good, you can inflate that thing. I just inflated it this morning, so that's the way you're going to see me do it. And, you know, one thing I forgot to say too is that this exercise is great for building your connection to the earth. I guess that's why I kind of named it I call it Jedi training, is because it's getting you to harmonize with gravity, and it's giving you a relationship with the center of the earth, because your proprioception, your equilibrium, it's all based on your relationship with the center of the earth, because that's where gravity pulls to. So great exercise for developing a ground path, grounding, a connection with the earth, an electromagnetic connection with the earth, and that gravity connection. And what this is great for too is if you're someone who's highly empathic, if you're sensitive to people's energy, to the energy of environments, this is going to, again, it's going to pull this mental body in, it's going to pull this emotional body in. It's going to build your boundaries and your shields and your barriers. You know, I've showed some other exercises for this, but this is a really quick path to it. So it's going to desensitize you a little bit, but if you're somebody who, you know, and I experienced some of this stuff myself. If you're somebody who, you know, you go to downtown in a big city, you get anxious, you find going in a Walmart nerve-wracking, a big box store, if you find that environment nerve-wracking, if you just pick up more of people's energy than you'd like to, this is a really good exercise because, again, it's gonna make you less open, so it's gonna pull those subtle energy bodies in. So, and it's going to give you the ability to focus on the things you want to, rather than just getting bombarded with so much information. So that's pretty much the long and short for that. I'll do some voiceover when I'm actually doing it. And this is going to be a long video because, I don't want to look perfect while I'm doing this. I think, when I'm doing it, I lose my balance once or twice. I make adjustments on the ball because it's hard to have a perfect mount and to get the ball exactly in the middle of the hallway. So as my weight settles in, I kind of start drifting towards one side of the hallway. So I'm up there trying to make corrections. So, I just want to bring it down to a human level and not look, perfect. So it's long because when I have time, I do 20 minutes worth of this. I'm already at about 12 minutes. So, it's kind of a long video. But yeah, I'll do some voiceover and kind of talk through my actual performance of the exercise. Yeah, and one last thing too, your muscles are going to get really sore from this because our stabilizer muscles are generally under challenge. If you're not doing things like agility training and walking over unstable surfaces very often, your stabilizer muscles are unchallenged. Stabilizer muscles are things that people lose over time as they age, and that creates falling hazards in and of itself. Because when your stabilizer muscles go, you have less balance, you lose confidence in your balance. When you lose confidence in your balance and you get worried, then you develop tension in your body, which makes you top heavy, and that's another falling hazard. So this is a great insurance policy for aging and being able to stay relaxed and have your balance and keep your center of gravity low and not fall and get hurt. So yeah, this teaches you to keep your center of gravity low. So one of the first things I'll tell you right here before the exercise starts, if you lock your knees, you're definitely going to fall over. So you're going to have to bend your knees much more than you're used to, and that's going to get your stabilizers burning. So yeah, you're going to feel soreness, in your glutes, your IT band, even your calves. This is going to wake your calves up. A lot of times people's calves get tight because they're underused. You'll feel soreness in your feet. You're going to feel soreness in your low back too, and your lumbar spine. If it's soreness, this is no problem. Stabbing pain is another story, and anything that gives your body stabbing pain you want to avoid. But if it's just soreness and achiness, just go through it because you're building strength. You're burning off the weakness in your body. You're bringing blood and energy into places that had a vacuity, that didn't have enough, or that had none. So work through the soreness. This is going to make you shake. Work through the shakiness. That's not a problem. There's nothing wrong with you if you're shaking. That's the weakness burning off. So let's get into the exercise.
Here we go. So the first order of business, we're going to have to mount this ball. Now, be safe about this. Don't hurry if you're running a timer. Don't worry about losing time. Just be safe. Now, what I've found is I roll the ball up against the wall like you're seeing. So I wedge it against the wall. I put a foot on it, and I do a little lift with the pull-up bar. I find this to be the smoothest way to get up there rather than just having it in the middle of the hallway, kind of rolling freely. And as far as, just mounting successfully, you're going to have different types of days with this. You're going to go through weeks where, once you get proficient with this, you're going to go through weeks where you're very stable. Your first attempt is really good, and you're up there. You're going to go through weeks or just days where you're very wobbly, even once you start getting good at this. Things just kind of come and go in cycles like that. So anyway, I'm kind of one thing that I find with this hallway, I think the floor is a little sloped, and the ball sort of starts settling in towards my right side. So my right arm will actually bump against the side of the hallway as I'm expanding the ball. And through this video, I think 3-4 times actually I readjust my position because I keep the ball kind of slides downhill towards the right. So anyway, some quick body position things about this. Keep your spine straight up and down, a nice straight axis from the crown of the head to the sacrum, to the base of the spine. And there'll be, when you first start doing this, there'll be a bit of a tendency to lean forward. That's part of the whole fight, flight, or freeze response. Is we go into fetal position. We kind of hunch over when we're stressed out, when the sympathetic nervous system is activated. But, do your best. Keep reminding yourself to keep that straight spine, keep it straight up and down. Now, another thing, you'll see that there's space between my knees. My knees are, roughly as wide as my hips. When I first started doing this, I kind of had some knock knees because it's just so weird standing on this thing. So make sure you don't have knock knees. If you have knock knees and your knees are close together, if your knees are wider than your feet, it can put weird stresses on your knees, but it's also going to make you unstable. It's going to make doing this really difficult. So, and then the other thing too, for me, my feet are about hip width. If I was doing the regular energy ball on stable ground, sometimes I have my feet a little wider than the hips, but a Swiss ball is only so big. So yeah, feet at about hip width. Again, space between the knees. I'm actively pulling my knees out a little bit, not a whole lot. And that's another thing too. You want, through this exercise, you want to have your muscles as relaxed as possible. Now, there's some inherent stress. You feel some stress when you first learn to do this because it's so unusual to be standing on one of these balls. They're so unstable. We usually sit on them. So you're high off the ground. It's very unstable. But your goal is to really hang your muscles off of your bones. Think of a cow walking. Cow's muscles, or just any kind of quadruped, any four-legged animal, the muscles kind of shake when they walk because they stay as relaxed as possible. It's most visible with cows because they're so big, and most breeds the fur is so short, so you can see the muscles. So again, muscles hang off the bone as much as possible. Now, like I said, when you first start doing this, your glutes are going to be burning, your IT bands, your quads, calves, and your feet. There'll be soreness in your low back. Basically, the energy and the forces of gravity are going to readjust your body for you. Now, before I forget this, I mentioned quads burning, quads being sore. You want to always have bend in your knees while you're doing this. If you lock your knees, you're going to be very top heavy, very unstable, and you're probably going to fall off. If everybody has different backgrounds. If you've been in the military, especially like boot camp, basic training kind of scenarios, they tell you never lock your knees because you can pass out if you're standing stationary for a long time with bent knees, with locked knees. So you always want to bend in the knees. Now, from this standpoint, from the standpoint of Qigong, martial arts, energy arts, you always want to bend in the knees because it keeps the low back nice and straight and flat. When you lock your knees, your hamstrings shorten. That shortens your hip flexors and your QLs. The QLs are muscles that run alongside your lumbar spine. They connect the top of your pelvis to the bottom of your rib cage. So you want your spine to be nice and straight because, again, it's like I said in the beginning, you want the spine from crown of the head to the sacrum to be one straight axis. So keep the bend in the knees. Now most people, if you haven't done a lot of Qigong, especially, you're not, well in general, if you haven't done a lot of Qigong, Tai Chi, you're not going to be used to standing with bent knees. Most people, again, they're knee lockers. So people take, when they stand and they lock their knees, they take the strain of standing upright off of their muscles and they put it onto the knee joints and onto the lumbar spine. And this undermines the strength and the integrity of both of those joints, leads to chronic back pain, chronic knee pain. And that's a thing you take into daily living. You always have bend in your knees no matter what you're doing. You're going to have to build the skill of catching yourself locking your knees so you can take the lock out of them. But you'll head off a lot of orthopedic health problems if you stop locking your knees. You'll also give your metabolism a bit of a jump because you'll always have those leg muscles burning instead of locking your knees and putting the weight of your body on those little knee joints and the little facet joints in your spine. So I can't stress that enough. Always have a bend in your knees. So let's get into the energy ball movement a little bit. First thing that comes to mind is the breath. So like I said in the regular energy ball video, it's a 4-cycle breath. So when I talk about a 4-cycle breath, you have an inhale and then a pause and an exhale and then a pause. So you're very lightly, very briefly holding your breath. It's a second or some fraction of a second, especially when you're doing this. When you're standing on flat ground, you're more relaxed. You can do a longer pause. It can be, a second, couple seconds. But this, like I said in the commentary, in the intro in the beginning, this is a mental training exercise. This is going to get you a little stressed out standing on this ball. It's going to raise your metabolism, your heart rate, your breathing, your whole bit, because you're concentrating on not falling off the ball. So, here I'm making a little positional adjustment, trying to get more to the right side of the hallway. Towards the left side of the hallway. So anyway, the breath. So 4-stage breath, 4-cycle breath. So inhale, pause, exhale, and then a pause. What I like to do is I do the pauses when the hands change direction. So you go from inhaling and expanding, and you reach the end of the expansion in the inhale. I pause my breath, and my hands start to change directions. They start moving towards each other and compressing. The ball starts getting smaller and compressing. At the end of that exhale, my hands change direction as I pause and switch to an inhale. So the hands are changing direction as I'm pausing my breath. So I'm exhaling, pause, change direction, inhale, pause, change direction, exhale. Gotta switch my position again. Thing I find too is not everybody's body's symmetrical. So my right foot turns out a little bit more than my left when it feels like I'm standing even. So I make little adjustments. So again, pause, change direction, inhale, pause, change direction, exhale, keep exhaling, pause, change direction, inhale, keep inhaling, inhale, pause and change direction, exhale. You're breathing nice and relaxed, long, pause, change direction, inhale, keep the inhale, pause, change direction. Jump the gun. Pause, change direction, exhale. Nice, relaxed exhale, pause, and change direction, inhale. You get the picture. So, again, just like the regular energy ball, expand on the inhale, compress on the exhale. Now, you want to tune into certain situations in your body to really maximize your training session and make it a quality training session. there's a component of imagination involved here, but it's like a chicken and the egg thing. So you are imagining the feelings, but you're also tuning into the feelings that are actually there. You have to have a concept of a thing to notice that thing. If you don't have a concept of something that you want to observe, that you're on the lookout for, you won't see it. So in the Western world, in the scientific world, imagination gets written off as, total dingbattery and flakery. But imagination is extremely real and extremely valid. So we're going to use our imagination to tune into sensations that are definitely there. So imagination is a very powerful thing, and we want to use every tool at our disposal. So when you inhale and you're expanding, imagine that like the palms and the tips of the fingers and even the inside of the forearms are glued together, or they have gum, something like gum or glue sticking them together. So as you inhale, you're expanding with the breath, and you're pulling those hands and fingers and arms apart. And you're feeling the magnetic attraction between your fingertips, your palms, and the inside of your forearms. And at the same time, those arms are also they're moving through fluid like a jello or a thick fluid. Now as you exhale, you're compressing all that energy between your fingers, palms, and forearms together. So this inhale and expansion is magnetic, this exhale and compression is electric. Magnetism attracts, electricity pushes. So magnetism pulls, electricity pushes. Just like I talk about in the regular Energy Ball video. So again, when you're inhaling, you're feeling the attraction between your hands and arms, pulling it apart, moving through the liquid. And then as you exhale and you're compressing all that energy, you're feeling the fluid, liquidy energy between the hands and forearms compressing. Now, as far as this liquid goes, this liquid feeling, this feeling is on the same frequency as chi energy, or what's called astral energy. Both of those energies are basically emotional energy. And emotions are very powerful things. Like I said, emotions are not limited by time. So the dimension that emotional or chi or astral energy exists in is timeless. So that's how people get stuck in emotions that are associated with events that happened, long ago, or events that haven't happened yet but are playing out in their mind and seem very real. So yeah, you're feeling the attraction, you're pulling the attraction apart. Whoa, losing my balance a little bit. Camera does that. And so you're inhaling, pulling that magnetism apart, exhaling, feeling that electricity wanting to repel the hands. And you're moving through the fluid, you're moving through the jello the whole time. Another little tidbit here, as you're doing this, always keep space in the armpits, just like I talk about in the Energy Ball video. Because if you put, your upper arm, which your bicep and tricep are attached to, if you put that upper arm up against your ribs, you're going to cut energy and blood flow to the hands. So always a little daylight in the armpit, even when you're at the narrowest point of compression of the energy ball. Now another little tidbit as you get better at this, in the Energy Ball video I talk about how on the magnetic inhale and expansion of the ball, you shift back towards the heels and you sit back a little bit and your knees bend a little more, and as you compress the energy ball in the electric phase, your knees straighten a little more and you rock towards the toes. So again, on the expansion, on the inhale, the magnetic phase of the ball, the yin phase, you're kind of like sitting back on the bar stool and your feet goes towards your heels, just like when you sit down. On the yang electric phase, your hips come forward, you come off of that bar stool, you come up from sitting on that counter, and your weight shifts towards the ball of your feet. So don't worry so much about that in the beginning, but as you get better at this, shift your weight while you're on this ball. But in the beginning, just focus on straight up balance with the weight distributed evenly throughout the feet, the 9 points of the feet. So the 9 points are the 5 balls of the foot, like the knuckles on your feet between your digits and your metatarsals. The heel, so we're up to 6. The arch, the blade of the foot. I'm missing one. Anyway, I think there are 2 points on the blade of the foot, but you get these 9 points on the foot. Keep it distributed evenly. When you get better, shift that weight towards the heel and the ball. That adds a whole other degree of challenge to this. Start simple, get more complex as you get better at it, and don't rush it. Don't let your ego drive you. Let's see, we got about 4 minutes left of video. Another thing I like to mention here is that, and I touched upon this in the intro, but the priority here in this exercise is you're building that connection to the earth. So your relationship to the center of the earth due to gravity, where gravity pulls towards the center of the earth. You're building an electromagnetic relationship with the earth too, because the earth is extremely electromagnetically active. It has a radioactive core of materials that are burning. I kind of think of it as a sun inside the earth. It's a fusion reaction like the sun, and then the earth is rotating, so it's generating an electromagnetic current. So as you're doing this, you are fostering that electromagnetic relationship between your body, your physical body, your energy bodies, and the planet, our Mother, Father, Earth. So you're coming into harmony with the elements. Now, what really gets emphasized in this exercise is the magnetic aspect of this, or the yin aspect, so that force of attraction. So you're building this force of attraction. Now, this magnetic yin force of attraction is pulling your mental intent, the E, or the Yi in phonetic English. It's a Chinese word for intent. It's pulling the E, the intent, the mental body, and the astral body, or the Qi. It's the emotional body. It's bringing those in. It's condensing them. They're out a little farther than the confines of the physical body, but they're much closer than they often are. So you're condensing this E, this intent, and this Qi, this emotional body. You're bringing it all in closer to the physical body to keep you in the present moment in both time and space. So you're bringing them into the present moment in time and into the physical location in space. And this keeps you focused on the task at hand. When you do this, you're learning how to focus and tune your emotions and your thoughts to the present moment. Now, when you do this, when you learn how to focus and bring your energy in and stop bleeding it out to other physical locations and other events and places and time, you have more energy for your whole being to run on, and you're not losing it so much. You're becoming more economical with energy. And you're strengthening your psychic barriers. Now, an important thing about yin energy is it's what keeps your being cohesive. It keeps your 5 elements and the spirits of your organs, your emotional body and your mental body and your soul consolidated within your physical body. When you run out of yin energy, the yang energy has nothing to stick to. So all of these various parts of you, this family of spirits that live inside of your body, basically scatter. So anyway, this will keep you in this world. So I'm out of time. Thanks for tuning in, and check out my Qigong downloads. Here's my website, and thanks for tuning in. Have a good one.